Hello everyone. Um, Today we have an upsolving session now for the Div 3 June starters, right? So we'll discuss one by one each of the problem. So let's start with the first one. Uh, It was a very straightforward problem. We were asked to check if ABCD are the angles of a cyclic quadrilateral, and then they gave us the definition also, if and only if the sum of opposite angles is 180 degree. So all we had to check is that A plus C is equal to B plus D is equal to 180, and so yeah, this was it. You just have to do this. Then you can say if A plus C is equal to B plus D, and A plus C is equal to 180, then you can say C out yes, else you could just say C out no, and we can say it. Yeah, so this is what we expect. Yes, no, yes, if you see no, yes, no, and we have the same answers, right? So if we see, we can go ahead and submit this up. We want to submit that. Okay, and yeah. Yeah, so this was it, right? This was our problem one. Straightforward, easy one. Now let's go to the next one. This had a little complicated kind of stuff written, but let's read out a few things very clearly, right? So I would like to highlight first part over here, that this if you see, there we have written A minutes over here. If you see over here, it's A minutes, right? And then it is B seconds. So that is very critical part. If you see that A minutes and B seconds, these are very critical parts. And why is it so? So you see, this says that in this game A is constant as 3 minutes and B is constant as 2 seconds. So now after n turns, the first one moves n plus 1 by 2, the other one makes move n by 2, right? And then we had to check, like, you were given A and B seconds are left. So what is the all time that was elapsed during the game? So see, if we are clear on what is given in the input, so this was a straightforward one. Again, scene N A B. So we'll say LL time 1. Okay, we can say it like this: time 1. What should be the time 1? It should be 180, which was initially on the clock. Now how many rounds this guy had? That was n plus 1 by 2, right? And then in each of those rounds, so these 180 are seconds, so we have everything in seconds now onwards. So these many rounds, and for each round he got 2 seconds. So this is on the first one. How much on the second clock? So it is, again, this also had fixed 180, but this will play n by 2 rounds, and again for each round it will get 2 seconds. So these are the total times. Now they are saying that we are left with how much of time? We are left with A plus B. So how much time is actually passed away? So that is time 1 plus time 2 minus A minus B. That's it. This was it about this code. And yeah, I hope even this one was straightforward, just that the statement was initially a little confusing to me because of that A minutes and B seconds things. Otherwise you see that this is it. We can just go ahead and submit this. Yep. Okay, we got our 2 of 2. Now let's move to the next one, right? Yeah, so let's say the problem number 3 we will take now. What did it say? Total correct summations. Again, this was a pretty easy one if you know a few data structures. Let's see. So it says that there are n problems in each division, and we have 3 divisions, and then you will be given a unique like it is given that each problem has a unique code that is represented by a string, and then it will have some number of summations in each division, right? So what we can do over here is we can get started about this part now. How do we so if you see, there was one n, so we had a problem with code A and it had one submission. Then we had a problem in div 2, we had a problem with B and that got 2 submissions, and in div 3 we had only problems sorry, in div 1 we had only problem C, which got 3 submissions. Similarly, in the div 3 we had 2 problems, AB, each had 1 submission each. Then AB was there in div 2 as well, and it got 1 submission there, and AC was a problem which got 1 submission. In div 1 there was AC which got 1 submission, and AD. So overall we had 4 problems, AA, AB, AC and AD, and then we can see how many submissions each of them have. So AA has 1 submission, AB has 2, AC has 2 and AD has 1. So that's why we have 2 1s and 2 2s, right? And similarly we can see that all the 3 divisions had the same problem, and everywhere we got 100 submissions each. So in total we got a 300 submissions. So if we want to write a code for this, right, I think again this should be a easy one only. We can say we had an n, then we read this. Now I will say a map which will have string and corresponding int, right? Let me call this map as m. Now I'll run a loop of n. All I'll read is I'll say a string, and I'll say this. Now I'll say ll score or ll submit, and we'll check the submit, how many people submitted. Now I can say map of this string plus is equal to submit, right? So map can take care, and submit like for this string it will assign these many submissions. Now I can repeat this 3 times, right? Because divisions doesn't matter to us, but we will have them 3 times. Now what has happened is in map we have each string and then corresponding number of submissions. All we have to do is we can say vector and let us call it ll solution. So we'll now build, we will go through the whole map. We can use auto for this, auto x, and we can go over the whole map, and in the second to it we have the real solution we are looking for. So the x.s is the counts of each of them. We can again sort solution, and that's it. We can print it as well. Yeah, best way I would say auto x solution cout. Okay, so this way we did this problem as well. So we can just cross check our solution once in case of any typing or other mistakes. But I see all the solutions are passing as expected, so we can go ahead and submit this as well. Okay, because these 3 problems had huge number of submissions, and these were really straightforward ones, so we didn't discuss them in much of detail. But yeah, I would like to spend some time discussing next few problems. So I see there is quite a number of drop in the number of submissions, so we can take a look what exactly this problem asked us. So if you see it, what does this problem say is there is a length L, right, which says a string of length L. So basically L is no more of a concern to us. It says a length of a day is L, and we will always be given just 1 day. So length of the day is 3, we will be given 3 length string. Length is 3, 3 length 7, length is 7. So we are given 1 day. Now in that day there are some hours we want to sleep, and there are some hours we are free. like we are on work, sorry. So where we can sleep is denoted by 0. So those first 4 over here we can use to sleep, and then another 2 over here we can use to sleep, right? Also, we were told that, you know, we want to sleep for h units actually. But if you don't sleep for h units, let's say you want to sleep for 5 units, but you slept only 4 consecutive units. So now how much is left? The left part is 1. So what you will do is, now you need twice of that. So you need 2 units of sleep extra to say that, okay, now I am relaxed. Because if you get consecutive 5, that is fine. Otherwise, whatever is left, so you need 2 from here, so you can get it and you are okay with this, right? Similarly, but the problem is, let's say if you don't have 2 over here, right? And so you had just 1. Let's say this case, again you need a sleep of 5, you got 4 over here, you were searching for 2 but you got only 1. Now how much is left? 1 is left. Again you want to search for somewhere where you can get 2 hours of sleep. Also, you should not be taking all of them consecutively. You can skip some of the zeros, like you may choose to not sleep on this 0 if you had 1 and then 2 more consecutive zeros somewhere. So after sleeping 4 over here, you can use those 2 consecutive ones and you are good to go with that. So it's up to you which all zeros you want to choose, but first you choose some session and then you choose something else. Then, you know, you will have to, for the remaining part, you need twice of what you require. So this now seems to be a, you know, very difficult problem in the first look, like how exactly we can approach it. But I'll show you a few observations and then we can see how we can solve this. Let's say a person had something like 1 1 0 and then, you know, another 2 zeros and maybe 3 zeros and yeah, and 1 more 0, right? Now this person needs a sleep of how much time? Let's say this person needs a sleep of 3 units. Okay, so how do we get those 3 units? We can skip these 2, and we can pick the 3, right? And that way we are good to go. The other solutions are, you can pick over here and you get 2 units of sleep. Now how much you are left with? 1 unit of sleep. Now what you will say, I am actually looking for 2, because how much is left? I will have to look for 2, but I got 2 over here, so I am happy with it again. This is also one valid solution. So these are all the valid solutions. You got the feel, right? But I could have skipped this and I could have opted for this. I get extra sleep, that is also better. So it's completely up to us. So we want a total sleep to be greater than equal to h. And if at some point I am not getting the full of it, whatever is left, then again search for twice of that in like going forward, right, in the string. Now if we go forward, it's actually a problem, right? Every time whatever is left, I'll have to go and search for twice of it, and then I don't know which part to choose and which part to not choose, and that's a little tricky to us. But what we can do is, if let's say I start from backside, okay, so if I start from backside, I know that this is giving me 1 unit of sleep. Now if I come to this point, I'll get 3 units of sleep, but no, actually I'll get 3 units of sleep plus whatever was there in the past. I will only get half of that, right? 1 unit divided by 2. So this will be my actual thing if I start from here, right? The other things is also we can have is only 3 units, right? I can just start from here. So these are the 3 options. So at this point, what is best? I can get 1 unit, but if I come at this point, I have these 3 options, either 3 unit or, you know, just skip this part. In that case, we will be still having 1 unit. Otherwise, we can have 3 units plus 1 by 2. So we can take max of these opportunities and we will see that, okay, we are going to opt for this. Now again, going forward, you see that currently you have 3 units. Now you are over here. So your first option says 2 units plus whatever you had in past, you will get divided by 2 of that, right? The other options are you just skip this 2 units. In that case, your past score will continue, so you will still have 3, or you opt for this and you know, skip past. That is not required at all. So basically you can have one of the 2 options. Whatever is best, you will pick and go forward, right? This is all. So you can see whatever is best at this particular interval coming from the past, and that way you know if you want to include this in the solution or you don't want to include this in the solution. So if we want to go and now we will first we will convert this string into integers. And how do we convert that? तो हम ऐसा करना चाहेंगे कि इन 4 zeros की जगह हम लिखना चाहेंगे एक 4 और इन 2 zeros की जगह हम लिखना चाहेंगे एक 2, such that our vector or our array look like 4 and 2, right? Similarly 4 and 1. So we want to split it like that. So how exactly we do that? Let us try to build the solution. So our first point is where we start n and k. We will be given something like l, n and k. So we'll just opt for n and k. Next we will get a string. So we'll just pick our string. Now what next? Let us call this is our array, vector int and v, right, where we will be storing our answer. And even before that we will say int index is 0. Now I want this index to point to the first 0 in the string. How do I do that? While index is less than n and s of index is equal to 1, so you go index plus plus. So basically index will now stop at the first 0. Now if there is no 0 at all, so if index is equal to n, that means there was no 0 at all, so there was no sleeping type at all. What happens in those cases? We already know the answer, like you can't really sleep, right? I think we need to print a no, not -1, we need to print a no, and we can say return after this. That's not a problem, right? Now if let's say you found int, so you can say int count is 1 of the current number of zeros. You can increment this index. Now this is a standard code how we convert these things, so I hope you guys are aware of this. So all I have to do is, if current thing is again 0, then you just say count plus plus. Else if count is greater than 0, then this thing you need to push in the vector. So vector dot push back count, and you anyways want to make count set equal to 0, and every time you want index plus plus. When you are outside, you again want to check if current count is greater than 0, then you again say v dot push back count, right? Now I have my array, but as I told you, we want to start from back side, not from the front side. So I will say reverse this array, v dot begin and v dot end. Now as I told you, let us initiate a variable saying answer 0. Now how will answer change? So I will go over all the values in the vector. Let us call each value as x. Now what do? Either we choose x, right? In that case answer will be max of either we choose answer, so in that case x plus answer by 2 will be our value, or we keep the current value of answer. That's it, right? Those are the two choices. So this way you got what is the best you can achieve throughout till the first point, like because we have reversed, so coming from the back we have come to the front point, and this is the best. So if this answer is already greater than equal to k, right, the number of hours of sleep that we need, then we are done. So we can say out yes, and else you can just print a no. So this way, I'll just copy paste this part over here. Yeah, so these are the answers, right? I hope this was clear how coming from back helps us, because at that time we know what is the best answer going from here till the last. So I'll just go and submit this once more. Okay, So again, this one also passes. So we'll go to the next problem. Now this one is a little tricky one. So I'll first like to introduce a few things and then we will go into how do we solve this, right? So as you see, what does the problem statement reads? We are given a sequence a1 up to an, and then we want to operate such do such operations. We choose L to R and then some value x, and then for each of the individual we add this value x plus I minus L square to each of the I, right, going from L to R, and then you can ask for what is the current value of the yth element over here. So these are all the things we want to answer. Let us see how best we can answer them, right? Okay, so first of all I'll define you a few things. Let us say we have a black box, right, and this black box gives us some features. I'll name this black box segment tree because that's what it is. And now what does this black box gives us? Given an array, we can perform two types of queries. One of the queries says query type 1. What it says is, given L to R, add x to each element between L and R, right? And query 2 says print the sum of L to R, which in our case we will need just one element, so we can say y to y, right, when we are asking for the yth. So we can say print the sum of L to R, and yeah, that's it. Those are the two queries we want to ask, and this black box segment tree this can do. So like let's say if we had an array of 0 0 0, and if there is query number 1 which says 2 to 5 add 7, so that means we will be expecting something like this. If this is 0 1 2 3 4 5, so we will expect 7 over here, 7 over here. Now again I can say 1 2 3 and add 8, so it will add 8 to this, 8 to this will make 15, 8 to this will make 15. So this will be our array. Then we can also ask the queries of type 2, which will say, let's say from 3 to 3. So that means it will tell me what is the current element at number 3. So it will tell me that this element is 15 actually. So these are the two queries that we want to support, right? Currently we are just saying adding of a simple variable which is x to all of them. We are not talking about those square things and all mentioned in the problem. So if this is the problem, this is a straightforward segment tree standard problem. So you have lots of resources available on the internet which you can search through and you can get these codes easily, right? Now how do I use these basic queries to answer the current question? Let us see that. Now in our query it says for L to R, first query is modified and you add x plus I minus L to this square. So it looks like for the first element it will add something else, right, in between L to R, and then for the second it will add something different. So everywhere it will add something different, right? And now we want to do this query quickly, like in the order of log n. All the queries I mentioned till now for the segment tree, all of them are to be processed in order of log n. Now how do I achieve this is, if you play around with the expression a bit. So like if I can write x minus L plus I and whole square, now I can split it like this: x minus L square plus I square plus 2 times of I into x minus L. So now there are quick observations. X and L will be fixed when we are adding in the range L to R. So L is fixed for all these things, right? But I is the thing which will change for each of them. That is also okay. And then again x minus L will be fixed, but I is something which will keep on changing. So now what do I do is, if I create 3 segment trees, okay, 3 seg trees. So what do I want from those 3 seg trees? First seg tree, as soon as I say L to that will be standard one, L to R, and I will say add x minus L square. So it will always have the x minus L square component for each of the indices, right? Similarly, I will again have another segment tree to which I will pass x minus l, right? This one, x minus l, not the 2i part, because that will be different to each, but I want in all l to r just add x minus l, that's it, then I'll take care. Now the third one I want is l to r add 1 to each of them, add 1 to each of them. So why adding one each of them makes sense? Because I want to keep a track how many times this was part of some range l to r, some update query. So every time it will get an increment 1. So that means if at the end it has a count of 3 in this third one, that means this was 3 times counted. So I should be adding 3i square to my answer. This is what I'll get from this, right? So that is why I am doing this 3 count thing. And how will I get this? So I know that current I will have 2 times I times what is the value from the second segment tree for the current thing, that will give me this component, and this will be used as it is. So that's how I'll modify the answers from these queries to actually process these I variable, right? So now if we go to the implementation part of it, yeah, let us check how can we implement, or maybe I'll open a new tab. Yeah. So firstly, I'll just copy paste my seg tree thing over here, and I'll need to modify it for the current problem. I'll make, so currently I want seg tree plus is equal to L, lazy plus is equal to L, and yeah, I think that's it. No other changes required. That should be good with the segment tree. Now we will go to the problem. So over here we say LLNQ, so we can keep N and Q. Now LLAN, right? Now what next? While query minus minus, we check the type of the query. So if type is 1, we do something, else the type is 2, we want to print something, right? So in this case we will get L, R and X. Because these will be 1 indexed, I want to play with 0 index, so I'll just say L minus minus and R minus minus, right? Now what next? Now I told you we will be making 3 updates, so that's why I want to have 3 segment trees. So I'll just say seg tree st1, st2 and st3. Now how do I use them? So one of the update is very simple. First update is like this: st1 dot update from L to R. How much to add? So that was x minus L to the square, but because we have reduced L in the 0 based indexing, so that minus 1 also came into picture, x minus L minus 1. So that's it. That's the first update. Second update was x minus L. So I'll say L R and x minus L minus 1. Now the third update is, this is just 1, add 1 to each of them. That's it. So this is, we did the update query. Now when we are saying int index, some index we want to print, right? So we will now read the query, each of them. I'll first say index minus minus, and now we can proceed with it. How do we do that? So let us say result from the first query, let us call it LLQ1, right? So this will give me the square parts every time. And how do I do that? st1 dot query and just say index to index. Similarly for the second part, I can say st2 dot query index to index, and similarly for the third part I can do st3 dot query index to index. Now because actual answer should be in terms of 1 based indexing, so I'll just plus this up again. Now what is our answer? Our answer is keep the square part as it is, 2 star index star result of the second query, as we so, and for the third query, query 3 star I to the square, right, index star index. This is what we calculated first, and now that's it. We can just go ahead and print the result. We just forgot one thing. Our initial array is not 0. Our initial array actually has some a. For the current index, it will be a of index minus 1. So that one value also we want to consider. That should be it. We can give it a shot and test it. Okay, we don't have test cases this time. Yeah, we get the answers which were expected, and now we can go ahead and submit this. I want to quickly debug this once again. Q3. Okay, maybe this part gave us some sort of issues. What do you think? And again, this should be LL, I think. Huge amount of values, right? X can be 10 to the power 6, and we are trying to make a square, so yeah, these will overflow otherwise, and we need to keep them as LL. No, everything changed to LL. Now we can check once again. Yeah, this should pass, right? So now we are on the last question for the contest, and what does this say? So we have, I don't know how come the submissions were so less. This was a pretty easy problem. Okay, so I'll tell you what this says. It says at 0 you are standing at some height. Now this is x is equal to 0. Now when you go to x is equal to 1, either your height will go and increment by 1, right? That is when you click over here. Otherwise, if you don't click, it will go and down by 1. Similarly, next time if you click, it will go up, otherwise it will go down. Right now you have to pass certain things, like there is one thing obstacle at this, so you should have height greater than this, because you can't even touch. You should have strictly greater than this. So if it had a height 1, I need at least of height of 2 to cross this. Over here there was at 2 there was nothing, so I can have any height, not a problem. But at 3 the height is 1, so I should have at least a height of 2, so I can pass using 2 clicks if this was my initial height that is given to us. Similarly, for the case, there is another case 3 given, where if we even if we click on everything, so the last one had a point of contact, because every time you can increase it only by 1. So if there is something of a large height over here waiting for us, so we can't cross this. In that case, we can print -1. Otherwise, we need to print minimum number of clicks we need to use, so that we can pass on all the obstacles. All these obstacles are given to us in the form what is the x coordinate and what is the height of this each of the obstacle, right? And we are also given the initial height. That's it. Now what, like, let us see a few things now. Okay, I'll say my first claim is we are assuming that solution is possible. Not possible solution, we can easily check that out, and we'll discuss how we can part that basic case. But otherwise, let us say solution is possible, then we are trying to find the solution. So our first claim says that if 5 clicks gives us a possible answer, possible way, then 6 clicks or more will still give a valid solution. That is correct, right? That if you can cross everything in just 5 clicks, where you are using it to increase height, so even if you use another extra click, that will only increase your height, right? So there is no loss to you. So so first thing is, if I see that at 5 clicks things are working, that means for more clicks also things will work. Now the only thing I want to know is what is that least value for which this will work, and this is a binary search problem. So let's say initially I say that I'll need a click everywhere, right? That is the largest, and this says I don't need any click. My original height itself is so large that even if it falls every time, so still it will cross all the obstacles on the way. That is also possible. So that lowest is 0 and the highest can be like, you know, what is the x coordinate of the last one, until that every time you increased it, right? So that can be your this thing xn, I can call it. Now what next? So next time you'll do a midpoint, and if you check for this midpoint, if I can make these many clicks, will I be able to cross all the things? If yes, then for mid plus 1 and others also you have answer, so you can search for this half now, right? This is a typical binary search. Now the only problem is, how do I test if using mid clicks can I really pass all the things? Now we come to the second part of this second claim. So what do we do now? Let's say I have to totally make mid clicks. So I have a claim that make mid clicks in the first mid operations, like make it like this. First mid, you just keep on clicking. Now all you have used, now it will go down only, right? For the next things. Now this is always if there is a possible way, this is also this has to be, this will definitely be valid if there is a way to make it using mid flips. So this is one of those ways. Why so? So let's say if you don't you say that okay, I want to go down first and then I want to use that this one thing I didn't use over here, so I'll use it later to pass somewhere. But that's not true. Why so? Because if you see at any height, let's say this was your index 1, this was index 2, so they both have same values. Now if you see at index 3, it will have a lesser value. Again, this will have a lesser value. All of these will have lesser value. Now wherever you increment, that will have an equal value, because at that time we have made equal number of increments and equal number of decrements as the above one. But it decremented later or incremented first, that's not a problem. But eventually after that point we have same. So in between there was less for some, otherwise it is equal, and this has more values, right? This has equal to this or larger. So this is always greater than equal to these values. All these values will be always greater than equal to these values. So that's mean this is one of the best ways, right, using mid. So you have to use mid clicks on the first mid you know, coordinates, and there onwards you can let it drop, and if it works, it works. Now we can see how we can implement this solution, how best we can code this, right? I'll just take this. How is the input specified? We are given n and h initially. What is that initial height and the number of obstacles? So we'll keep a track. Do we have test cases? Yes, I think. Yeah. So we'll just keep n and h. There onwards we are given x coordinates and we are given y coordinates, all of them in this form: fin sin xi and then fin sin yi. Now first of all we want to discard the cases where there is no solution. Now this is easy to figure out. Even I make a click of positive every time, and if I'm still not able to do it, that means there is a failure case. So let me call it flag initial is true, but I'll try to find if there is a thing where we will fail. So fin for the current xi, what is the max height that I can achieve? So original height was h plus what is the current coordinate? Current coordinate is xi. So if every time I increment it by 1, right, so I can increment it by xi times. So this is what I will totally have as my y coordinate. And if mh is less than or equal to what is the y coordinate of the obstacle over here, that means this is not valid. So I can't really have a way to cross the obstacles. So if not flag, you can just say it's not possible, so -1 and you return. Otherwise the solution is possible. Now what is this low value for this? That is 0. What is the high value? You make a click every time, and this will tell you what is the max click thing that you need, right? And now we can see we can initialize our answer at high initially, because that is always valid. And now we will check for how do we get for each mid. Right, okay, this should be mid. And now to check at mid, again I'll set a FL as true, and now I'll check if using mid. So fin. Now what is the max height that it can have? So h is original height plus whatever is the min. If you are currently at a smaller index, so you can't have all your mid already added, right? So you will have the min of them as added by now. And if you are at greater height, then only first mid can add. So this is the max height. No, if your xi is greater than mid, that means you have already started to lose something. How much you will lose out of this? So that is mh is equal to mh minus, after mid you started to lose, so xi minus mid, these many, because xi is greater than mid. That means now after up to till mid you were incrementing +1 +1 +1, now you are decrementing -1 -1 -1. So now you go to your mh. Now if this mh is less than equal to your y coordinate at this point, that means your flag is false, and you can break right over here. Now if after this loop you check over here, if fl, right, that means this is a valid thing, so your answer can be set to mid, and you can reduce your interval to the half, mid -1. Else you search for a larger solution, you go to mid +1, right? Once you have all of them, so you can just print your answer, and that's it. So if we check, yeah, these are the answers we were expecting, right? We can try to submit this up. Okay, also sorry guys, this was the first time and I had some issues setting up my live stream, and next time onwards I'll try to go live on YouTube, so that you guys can ask your doubts and all. But for this video I'll be happy to answer your doubts in the comment section. Yeah, thank you all for watching this. I hope you enjoyed the video.